We're here right now in Burbank, California. We're about to head inside of Warner Brothers Studios to take the Warner Brothers Studio Tour, and a tour that we have taken quite a few times, but we probably have not been here in at least, I would say, 4 years. It's been quite a while, and they're advertising it as an all-new tour. They've supposedly changed a lot of stuff. I know, for starters, the building that you used to start off the tour in, they no longer use that. They have a brand new building dedicated just to the studio tour, a brand new parking structure dedicated just to the studio tour. And then, supposedly along the tour, they have added a lot of new stuff as well. So let's head inside and check it out. So this is the lobby of the brand new building that's dedicated to the studio tour. It's really nice in here. You can see they have a Starbucks and a studio store, and there's different costumes and props on display. It's really clean and roomy in here, really nice. A couple of different photo opportunities. They have the classic Warner Brothers photo op, some more costumes on display from the show Peacemaker. And then right over here, this is where we enter into the studio tour. It's time for us to take our tour, so let's head inside. Wow, this is really cool. They didn't have anything like this before. I guess while you're waiting to take your tour, you can hang out in here, and they have these different sections representing, all the different sides of Warner Brothers. They have the animation section, the television. Over here, they have the classics. And then they have these cool models of the Warner Brothers sound stages and the Warner Brothers water tower. Really cool. And it says right on top of one of the sound stages, "Please do not sit," which you would think would just, be a given, but I guess not. Okay, so this is our first stop on the tour, and it's the jungle area. And I'm really excited because the tram does not usually come to the jungle area. So really excited about this. So our tour guide just informed us that right back here, this used to be the location of the Waltons' house from the TV show The Waltons. Something very famous was filmed right here on this path. This is where the T-Rex chased after the Jeep in Jurassic Park. They would have just been going back and forth right here on this path. He also just informed us that all of the bamboo in here was originally brought in for the TV show Kung Fu. But the most important thing to take place in this jungle happened right here in this lagoon. This is where Pee-wee swung across the lagoon, clenching onto his bike, hanging from a vine in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Speaking of Pee-wee's Big Adventure, we are currently on what used to be Laramie Street. And Laramie Street was the Old West area, and it's another area that you don't get to see too often. They don't usually bring the tours back here, so that's pretty cool. But it can also be seen in Pee-wee's Big Adventure towards the end of the chase scene. But we'll talk more about Pee-wee's Big Adventure in another video. Laramie Street can also be seen in National Lampoon's Vacation. The truckster would have been driving down the dirt road, and then it pulls up in front of one of the saloons and they head inside. So sometime right after the 90s, Warner Brothers realized they probably weren't going to be filming too many more Westerns, so they changed this entire area to look like a suburban neighborhood. But the buildings are actually production offices. You can see a couple of guys right there heading inside to go to work. So they're production offices inside, but they can use the outside for filming. This house right here was actually used as Jason Segel's house in the Muppet movie. There's definitely quite a few houses here on the Warner Brothers lot, but this one has got to be my favorite because it can be seen in at least a few different 80s TV shows and movies. First of all, this was the Seaver house in the TV show Growing Pains. They would have filmed the intro to the show right here in front of this house. And it was through this window upstairs where the old lady comes flying out the window in Gremlins. In Monster Squad, Dracula would have been standing right here in the middle of the street. You can see some of these buildings behind him. He then comes walking past the Growing Pains house, past all of these other houses, and then he heads right over here to the church where Phoebe's standing. And this church can be seen a lot in Monster Squad. It can also be seen in one of my favorites, The Lost Boys. Sam and the Frog Brothers come riding their bikes down the street right here, and then they head over to the church and walk up the front steps. They head through these doors and go inside to get some holy water, but the camera is actually looking the other way. It's looking at them running up the steps. Along with a lot of scenes from Monster Squad being filmed out here, you also might recognize this gazebo if you're a Gilmore Girls fan. That's because they filmed a lot of Gilmore Girls out here as well. Now, that building on the right with the red front, that was used as the alibi room in the TV show Shameless. And just to the left of that, that area was used in the last episode of Seinfeld. That's where Jerry and the gang were standing and watching John Pinette's character get his car stolen. His car would have been parked just across the street where these cranes are currently parked. And when it shows him getting his car stolen, you can actually see the Gilmore Girls gazebo and the Growing Pains house behind him. Supposedly, this is one of the last remaining sets from the classic movie Casablanca. They also used the front of this building in The Big Bang Theory. If you're a fan of the Adam West Batman, then you probably recognize this building. This is where you would see Batman and Robin run up the stairs when they go to see Commissioner Gordon. Now, according to our tour guide, they only shot that scene once. Due to the amount of steps that they had to run up, it was considered a stunt, so they had to use stuntmen, and that made it an expensive scene. So when the director found out how expensive it was, he said, "We're never shooting that scene again," and they just reused the same scene more than 70 times. Tour guides like to refer to this house as the Phoebe House, and that's because this side is where Phoebe Cates' character lived in Gremlins. And then if we come to the other side of the house, this is where Phoebe's father lived on Friends. This building on the left side, that was Patsy's Pies on Shameless. And then this area on the right was used in ER. The house on the right side is a replica of the Tanner house from the TV show Fuller House, which of course is a spin-off of Full House. And I think they just used that house for some promos. It wasn't actually seen in the show. And we're now headed back into Town Square, and another 80s TV show that was filmed here is Dukes of Hazzard. And this building right here was actually the Hazzard County Bank. It was run by Boss Hogg. As we pull out of Town Square, we get one more look at the church from Monster Squad and Lost Boys. Now, for some reason, this is as close as we got to the sound stages this time. And this shot right here is pretty similar to some of the shots that we get in Pee-wee's Big Adventure when he's running away from security. So this is the self-guided portion of the tour, and they've got a lot of props and costumes in here. This is the Batman cowl from Batman Returns with Michael Keaton. And then, as you just saw, a couple of the props and costumes from Mars Attacks. They've got one of the alien guns, and then a couple of the costumes. Pretty cool. So they've got a bunch of different costumes in this building. These are some of the costumes from the movie Crazy Rich Asians. And then this was worn by Jennifer Lopez in the movie Selena. Here they have a Friends photo op where you can take a picture with the original set of Central Perk. And if you're a fan of Big Bang Theory, you're definitely going to love this. They have a couple of the sets that you can take a picture on. And then I guess these are just some of the costumes from the show. So this is a brand new section, brand new building. So this is my first time seeing this. This is the superhero section, and I believe they also have a Harry Potter area in here. And like I said, this is my first time seeing this because it's brand new. So if you're a fan of the superhero movies, you'll probably definitely enjoy this section. This is the Batwing from the Batman vs. Superman movie, and pretty cool to see in person. It's really big, but I'm definitely more of a fan of the Batwing from the Michael Keaton movie. And speaking of Michael Keaton, right next to the Batwing, they have the Batmobile from the 1989 Batman movie. So I think this pretty much brings us to the end of our tour. They got a couple of more props in here, one more photo op, and then right over here, this has got to be one of my favorite things in this section of the tour. This is Michelle Tanner's honeybee costume from Full House. And then up here they have some of the doctor IDs from ER. So we came up here to the top level of the parking garage to get a really nice view of all of Warner Brothers. We got a good shot of the water tower and pretty much the entire back lot. And all of this that you're seeing right in front of us, this was a section that we didn't get to visit today. And that's kind of weird because they almost always bring you to this section. But for some reason we didn't go here today. And unfortunately, most of the stuff I wanted to show you is in this area. For example, this is where Pee Wee Herman's walking down the alley and he gets stopped right in front of this fire escape by Tim Burton and some other thugs. And in front of that same fire escape, that's where they shot the album cover for Purple Rain. And it was also in this area where they filmed Tobey Maguire hanging upside down from the building. Right over in this area is where the family truckster pulls over to try and get some directions. And the building that the family truckster stops in front of, that was also the burning pet store at the end of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. And then just a couple hundred feet over to the left is the stairway that leads down to the store where he purchases Gizmo in the beginning of Gremlins. Well, that's it. A very quick video. There's a lot of videos already on YouTube showing the studio tour, so I just wanted to make a quick one, kind of highlighting some of the stuff from the 80s and 90s. The problem is we didn't get to see a lot of stuff today from the 80s and 90s. Every time you come on the Warner Brothers studio tour, it's going to be slightly different. It's never the same any two times that you take the tour, and I know that, but I gotta say, this was probably one of the most disappointing times that we took the tour. And again, like I said, I know it always changes. Sometimes it's going to be great, sometimes it's going to be not so great. We've taken it some other times that were just amazing. The reason why this one wasn't as good as some of the other times was our tour guide asked us, or asked everybody on our cart if there was anything in particular that they wanted to see. And I told him the stuff that we wanted to see, and he seemed excited about it. He said, "Oh, I like that." And he then proceeded to point out absolutely nothing from the stuff that I told him, and kind of avoided all of those areas, probably not on purpose. And I know sometimes they may be filming in those areas, but we did kind of pass by the backsides and we saw other tour groups in there. So, you know, it was a little disappointing, but I know that the tour is not just for us. It's not a private tour. There's other people on the cart. But yeah, this is kind of a bummer. I'll come back again in the near future, and hopefully we'll get to see more of the stuff that I would like to show all of you. And yeah, and then I'll do another video. But again, just a really quick video showing you the new tour, or at least a little bit of the new tour. And if you're in the area, maybe you'll come and check it out. It is a great tour, but like I said, sometimes, you know, if you come here with expectations, you might not always get what you came here to see. And that's just something you need to know when coming, well, really when coming to any tour. So yeah, with that, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.